Power of compassion. Dear friends, the parables regarding the kingdom of God, about which Jesus speaks in today's gospel, has one underlying theme: waiting in patience. The one who waits in patience is none other than the master of the kingdom of God. The farmer has to wait in patience for the day of the harvest. The tiny mustard seed has to grow patiently till it becomes a big bush. The woman has to wait patiently till the yeast hidden in the flour makes the bread to rise. The parables, therefore, brings out the infinite patience and compassion of God. In the parable of the wheat and the weed, the servants are eager to pull out the weeds, but the patient master thinks otherwise. This reflects how God deals with his people. Instead of being judgmental and condemning his people, he tolerates them, waiting in patience for a change of heart. In the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 5, we see the dimension of God's unfailing love manifested. For he makes his sun to rise on the evil and on the good, and sends his rain on the righteous and on the unrighteous. God's compassionate eyes are able to see good in everyone. Alexander Solzhenitsyn was innocently imprisoned during Russian Revolution. He could have been tempted to argue that he, the innocent one, had been imprisoned unjustly. But he writes in his book, The Gulag Archipelago, the sobering words: "The line dividing good and evil cuts through every human heart. Everyone is a mixture of good and evil. In all human beings, we discover a mixture of good and bad, truth and falsehood, saintliness and sinfulness, faith and doubt." The patience which the Master shows in the parable reflects God's own patience and compassion. John Mary Vianney, the saint of the confessional, says that it is not the sinner who runs after the good Lord to receive his forgiveness, but it is the Lord who runs after the sinner to plunge him into his mercy. Pope Francis says in Amoris Laetitia that no one can be condemned forever, because that is not the logic of the gospel. Unfortunately, even today, many approach God with fear, guilt, and shame, thus projecting a caricature of God as an avenging God, a fearful God. Some argue that if we project God as a punishing God, people will avoid sin and evil. In God's logic, love, forgiveness, and patience are more powerful than fear, threat, and violence. The power of compassion. A man came to the supermarket for shopping with his little son, who was quite naughty. He pulled down the neatly arranged chocolate bars. The father picked them up and arranged them back, saying, "Patience, Johnny. Patience, Johnny. It's okay, Johnny." A few minutes later, the little boy pulled down dolls in display, and again the father picked them up and arranged them once again, repeating, "Patience, Johnny. Patience, Johnny." An onlooker approached the struggling father and said, "I really appreciate the patience that you showed to your son Johnny." "Sorry, sir, you're mistaken," the father replied. "My son's name is Michael and I am Johnny." We can learn to be patient and compassionate with ourselves and with others because it is a greater power than fear, threat, and anger. In the kingdom of God, God uses the divine power of compassion, patience, and forgiveness. May the kingdom of God reign in us, in our homes, and everywhere. May God bless you.